Hello there. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the City Council meeting for December 17th. It's our regular meeting at 6 p.m. I will call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice. Anthony, may I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Lane.
Here.
Councilmember DeGolia.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitmer.
Yep.
Vice Mayor Holland. Mayor Lewis.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
So now is the time for any member of the public who may wish to make a public statement of the floor at this time or any presentations.
Just make sure it's green.
Good evening. I am Helen Walter. I'm with Assemblymember Mark Berman. He was not able to be here this evening, so I am here and representing him to say, first of all, to Mayor Lewis, thank you for your service, as well as to the other council members this past couple of years and couple months. Welcome. I've worked with a few of you before, so I look forward to working with you all, getting to know new members. But congratulations also on the upcoming reorg, wherever it lands. And I look forward to working with you, and thank you all for your public service.
Thank you so much, and thank Mark for us also.
Happily. Thank you.
Mr. Mueller.
Supervisor.
All right. How about that? Is that helpful? I'll just
Yes.
hold it up here since
That's
it's
a good
going.
thing. You're so tall.
So for the folks who don't know, my name is Ray Mueller. It's my honor to serve as supervisor for the 3rd District and for Atherton. And I came tonight first to congratulate Mayor Lewis on a wonderful term. You've served as mayor before, and the first time you serve as mayor, it's a wonderful thing. You're the mayor, you go around and you go to all the ceremonies. And the next time you're mayor, it's a little different. It's time to get to work. And you have been always not only such a role model and leader in Atherton, but throughout the county in every way that you've served. And in looking at your accomplishments this year, it's a tough year. You had to deal with the housing element, you had to deal with ADU, you had to deal with infrastructure, and you always bring such strong leadership to all of those things to navigate those difficult times. And so as navigating the public and with mandates coming down from the state that everyone's not always excited about, but you do so responsibly, you do your service. And so on behalf of the county of San Mateo, I have a certificate of appreciation and commendation for you signed by all the supervisors. But I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Oh, that very lovely. So much. We've known each other a long time. This is
Cool. And one last note, and I take a liberty, Vice Mayor Holland, I'm looking forward to working with you next year. You'll have a great evening.
going to enjoy it. Any other members of the public wish to speak? Okay, following our agenda, it is time for a message from me. And I'm going to stand up a little bit here, and I have some prepared remarks, so I will be reading a little bit. I hope it goes well for y'all. Good evening, everyone, and I'm so glad that you're here tonight. Thank you for coming. And as we come to the close of 2025, I want to reflect on the work that your city council, all of us, and town staff have accomplished and what it means for our town. 2025 was about building a strong foundation for the future. We adopted a balanced budget for 2025-26 that protects essential services, invests in infrastructure, and keeps Atherton financially strong. We modernized the town's purchasing ordinance to improve efficiency, accountability, and competitiveness in public projects. We expanded our IT services to strengthen system reliability and security. And we adopted a long-term workers' compensation strategy that better protects our employees while also stabilizing the costs for the town. However, one of the major issues continues to be the state housing mandates. However, in 2025, Atherton met them responsibly with the guidance of our city staff and planning department. Adopting revisions to our general plan and housing element covering 2023 through 2031, for which we received formal state approval. We updated our ADU and ordinance to remain compliant with the state law while maintaining our local development standards. We held a joint study session between the Council and Planning Commission to discuss an inclusionary housing ordinance, focusing on fairness, feasibility, and real-world impacts. We launched community engagement on a draft of a new town charter, opening an important conversation about local governance and future authority. Transportation and infrastructure saw meaningful progress. We initiated an update to our bicycle pedestrian master plan. Sidewalk improvements were completed in Lloyden Park. A residential permit parking program was implemented around the town center for the safety and well-being of our local residents. We adopted a resolution establishing speed limits throughout the town to improve safety. We approved grant applications for safety and mobility improvements on El Camino and Alameda de las Pulgas, and provided regional input on the El Camino Real Gap Closure Project. This year, we initiated the Upper Atherton Channel Relining Project and launched Phase 1 of planning of stormwater and drainage along the El Camino to strengthen our drainage infrastructure and prepare for future resiliency work. Our parks and public spaces were set up for the next phase of improvement and development. Contracts were approved for the library children's garden and the Holbrook Palmer Park playground and restroom replacement project. Construction is scheduled for next year, 2026. However, the foundation was laid in 2025 through design work, rebidding, and contractor awards. Environmental leadership remains strong. We updated the electric readiness ordinance and approved funding support for One Shoreline, a sea level rise protection organization. We completed the town's resident survey, which showed that overall satisfaction remains high with residents. Residents consistently gave Atherton high marks for safety, public services, and quality of life. The strongest themes that we heard really was understandably so, were appreciation for the police and emergency services, pride in our park and town character, along with a desire to see continued investment in infrastructure, traffic safety, and communications. We also heard that residents want a clearer outreach system so they are informed more frequently and robustly around major projects that we discuss and legislative changes. We're taking that input seriously as we improve how we communicate going forward. But I believe, more importantly, 2025 was about community. Atherton came together as a community often. We hosted Earth Day, National Night Out, safety meetings, community forums, waste collection days, compost giveaways, shred it events, Halloween festivities, and our annual tree lighting ceremony with Santa Claus. And these were not just events. They were moments of connection. And they reminded us that Atherton is more than just services and programs. It's neighbors, families, volunteers, and shared traditions. We also continue to support important community priorities, such as supporting the resident-led senior task force group and establishing priorities for advancing teacher housing opportunities at Menlo College, recognizing that strong communities depend on those who work here and are able to live nearby. When I reflect on 2025, I do not see a year of just talk. I see plans completed, projects positioned, safety strengthened, and parks ready for improvement and investment. Housing addressed responsibly, and community engagement with purpose. Atherton continues to move forward with discipline, care, and foresight. I want to thank my fellow council members for all they've done this year with us, and to the dedicated staff who have led us and guided us through these projects, and to every resident who has helped shape this town through their involvement, feedback, and trust. I wish you all a very peaceful holiday season and a hopeful start to 2026. It's my great honor to be your mayor in 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Lewis. With that, we will consider the seat of the mayor vacant and we can entertain nominations. Please, Councilmember Whitmer.
Sure.
Oh, Councilmember.
I'll
Day.
nominate Stacy.
Second it.
And as you know, we don't need any additional seconds. So unless there's another candidate available, we can,
Vote all
yeah,
unanimously.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We get to do-si-do.
Do we have a nomination for vice mayor?
I nominate Councilmember Rick DeGoya.
Second that.
Thank you. Can we get a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. With that, I can administer the oath of office.
Okay, we're gonna do-si-do.
Okay,
Where do we do the oath? Down or we?
you can, yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Where you are.
Okay, you want to do it from here? I don't. So. Here. Okay.
Doesn't matter. Indifferent.
Don't
Feel
need
good,
it.
Giant.
She needs her seat though.
I know, otherwise I will be towering
That's my
over.
secret.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, you've got the real pictures. Thank you. I want to make sure you
Yeah.
got it.
Good.
These are, please. And repeat after me. I, you state your name,
I, Rick DeGolia,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of California
Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely
Take this obligation free
without any mental reservation
without any mental
or purpose of evasion. That I will well
I will well
and faithfully discharge
faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
on which I'm about to enter. You guys got to switch the boxes too.
See right here.
Okay, well, I've also prepared So not just gonna ad lib tonight. Well, thank you everyone for being here tonight. It's an honor to serve as Atherton's mayor. First, I wanted to say thank you to my colleagues for putting your trust in me. My first time being mayor, so I also wanted to say thank you to Elizabeth. You heard me this year, so hopefully I will run our meetings efficiently, effectively, and congenially this year. So we'll fun
I have no doubt
2026.
that it'd be great.
As Elizabeth said, last year the town conducted a comprehensive survey of residents, and the good news is that our residents are really happy with the state of our town. So we will do our best to continue to improve the lives of our residents and be forward-looking without changing too much. So George pulled together a list of all the fun things that Atherton and the council will look forward to this year. And as Elizabeth mentioned, this year was very much a building year, and next year will be construction and implementing a lot of the things that we've been talking about for several years. So personally, I am very excited to see the construction of the new library children's garden, which will be a nature-themed play space for families behind the library near the Makers Lab. So this will be a beautiful addition to what's already an incredible library. We're also going to build a new playground at Holbrook Palmer Park. Sometimes it's easy to forget that there are kids and young families in Atherton. And I'm really proud of this council for investing in this group. Not only are playgrounds so important for child development, they're also an important place for multi-generational thing. And I'm hoping also this year we will finish the train museum, right, Rick?
Will.
So hopefully.
He's got 12 months
My
now.
God, you can do it. So we will potentially have some ribbon cuttings this year, which I'm sure my 5-year-old son will be very excited to help out in. Transportation and safety will also take a major step forward this year. We'll continue to do our outreach and update our active transportation master plan. And construction, George says, will kick off on our Alameda de las Pulgas Safety Corridor Improvement Project, which will include a roundabout at Atherton Avenue and Alameda de las Pulgas, and improve pedestrian crossings by Las Lomitas and at Stockbridge. So this project will reduce the congestion at the town, one of the town's most important intersections. We've been talking about it for 3 years.
At least.
At least.
Yeah.
So I think we're all really excited to see construction actually kick off this project. We'll also see progress in another much requested area, drainage. These are not glamorous projects. They're also not cheap, and they're also not uncomplicated. But this is an area where we can make a real difference and improve the lives of our residents. We had a number of meetings last year to discuss dewatering El Camino Real, not drainage. And staff will continue to keep us apprised as they figure out the solution for that big problem. Housing policy will remain one of the most consequential issues of the year ahead. Finding the best ways for Atherton to retain its character while also meeting the state mandates will be an ongoing balancing act. This year, we will see a lot of focused public outreach. We'll be doing neighborhood meetings to talk through the active transit needs for the various neighborhoods in town. And perhaps the most consequential decision we'll be making this year is whether we'll pursue becoming a charter city. Residents will need to weigh in on whether this governance model is something that we need for the future of Atherton. Lastly, I wanted to thank everyone in this room. You're either my family or my friends. I love you. Thank you for coming. Or you are a person who has chosen to support the town by either working here or taking a volunteer job to support on a town committee or organization. For the first time of my tenure here, we have no vacancies on any of our town committees, which is a real achievement. Just good job, town staff, for the recruiting. Good job, everyone, for raising your hands. So thank you for raising your hand to do this job, for coming to your meetings prepared, for supporting this town. Atherton would not be the same without all the people who are volunteering for the town, and my colleagues here on this dais. We are all volunteers. I just want to remind everybody. No one's getting paid for this job.
Shoot, nobody told me that.
I know. It's a rough one to realize. So thank you everyone for putting your trust in me as mayor, and let's make 2026 another great year for Atherton.
Nice.
Okay. So now we'll move on to
Public comment.
a public comment. Does anyone have any public comment?
I do, Madam Mayor. And before we move.
We do. We do.
Oh,
Oh, my.
Oh, wow, that's
Oh, wow,
nice.
including my
That's it.
gavel. I love.
You do get to keep a
I get to keep a gavel.
All right, very nice.
keep our gavels. Wow. Very cool.
Nice. Yeah, all right.
Yes, you can apply.
A nice one
Yes,
too.
thank you.
Here, I got space over here.
It's such a wonderful gift to be able to serve. Just like amazing.
Okay. Now I'm gonna, meeting moving forward, we have a party to get to. So we're gonna take public comment now. This is the portion of the meeting reserved for people wishing to address the council on items not listed on the agenda.
There's no one online. Is there anyone in the room that would like to make a public comment? Seeing none.
Okay. Is there any disclosure of ex parte?
Nope.
Okay, does anyone have any questions on the departmental written reports? Nope. Great.
They're very thorough.
They're very thorough. Okay, and then Mona, do you have a report out of closed session? No.
The council did not meet in closed session, so there is no report.
Great. Then does anyone, we're gonna move forward to the consent agenda. Does anyone? Session?
Nope.
Great. Does anyone?
Move approval on the consent calendar.
And,
I'll second.
and confirming there's no public
Oh,
comment.
yeah. Is there any public comment on it?
And there's none online.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
All in
We can
favor?
just
All in favor?
favor.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. First mayor, guys.
That's okay.
All right. So now we're gonna open our public hearing, which is to introduce the first reading by title only. The fire district here to do a presentation or, okay, great. So
Good.
this is for our municipal building code, talking fire.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm Fred Lustenberger. I'm the town's building official. Glad to join the team 4 or 5 months ago. And here tonight to do item 5, which is to adopt the 2025, the new state building codes, to make those effective in the town. So we'll do a first reading of the proposed ordinance, which will modify Title 15 to the municipal code and adopt the codes as given to us by the state of California. This is a 3-year or triennial process. Municipalities throughout the state, county, towns, cities, and so forth are required to adopt the code as of the 1st of January, this coming January. And we will be adopting it through ordinance as well by reference. Very little changes this time around. In fact, the least that I've seen in the 3 decades that I've been doing this, and very few modifications to the code. Nothing really too ominous or anything, and becomes effective, as I said, January 1st, statewide, and just a update of the codes that we adopt every 3 years.
All right, Rick, you want to start the questions?
I have a question. So in chapter 9, there are several references to, in the proposed amendments to chapter 9, there's several references to special hazards of lithium batteries, and it appears that that includes anytime a lithium battery is included with combustible electrolytes in vehicles. And what I don't quite, and that's referenced both in section 703.2.10.3 and in section 905.3.11. And it appears, though this is very hard to understand because the language is not intended for any normal human being to understand it. It says that when there is a inclusion of, it appears, a lithium battery both as a backup to a solar system or in any electric vehicle, that it requires a sprinkler system. And that I understand that for new buildings that are over a certain square footage, that sprinkler systems are required. But is this now attempting to require a sprinkler system in any existing building that may not have sprinkler systems if the occupants of that building are going to have an electric vehicle, or if they add a battery backup to a existing solar system?
Dusty.
Fire district.
By the fire district. However, I will just say that that would not apply in Atherton because we do not have the occupancies that it is meant to pertain to.
Have a different answer for it?
Hope not.
Yeah.
I can further answer your question if that would be okay. Hello, everybody. My name is actually Gage Slice. I'm the fire marshal for Menlo Park Fire Protection District. I am the one that authored those statements and questions that you had, so I can probably best explain exactly what it is. Like the building official said, these apply to occupancy groups S2, which are parking garages, commercial parking garages. So they would apply.
Which only applies to commercial parking garages.
Does not apply to residential. So in both those code sections that you referenced, they referenced occupancy group S2, which are either underground or.
You don't know what that means.
Of course. And that's what my job and the chief building official's job is to do. And we word it in a way where it makes sense to contractors and building officials and everybody else, but not the.
Question then. Also in 903.6.1 or .6.1.1, talk about buildings and structures that would be over 1,000 square feet will require sprinkler systems. So we have all these ADUs with predefined designs that people download and bring them for ministerial approval. We do all those if they're our ADU gross square footage right now is 1,200 square feet.
Yeah, so with the ADU specifically, there was a bulletin that came out with the state fire marshal a couple of years ago addressing that specific issue that the majority.
Sorry, I didn't read it.
Of course, that's why I'm here to explain it. So a couple of years ago, they came out with a bulletin to specifically address that concern with ADUs, and 99% of the time, most ADUs are exempt from fire sprinkler requirements. There are a couple caveats. If they don't have enough water system available, then you have to put sprinklers in it. But for 99% of the time, most ADUs are exempt from putting sprinklers in.
But just if I can follow up, but it also says that if there is a basement even added to existing buildings of 250 or more square feet, then it requires sprinklers. And I understand why, for safety. Does that apply to ADUs also?
Most ADUs, I'd have to talk to the planning folks in the room. I don't think most ADUs can be put in the basement.
No, ADUs can have a basement. Most may not, but they can have a basement.
As long
And
as they're under
some
1,200
definitely do.
Yeah.
But if that basement is 250 or more square feet, would they require sprinklers?
I'd have to look at the code specifically, but most likely not. They would still be exempt because it's under that 1,000 threshold. Because it's based on that. I haven't come across that, honestly. I'd have to take it as a one by.
Could you check then, just let us know? That'd
I could totally
be
do that.
helpful.
Then following up on the lithium battery one, 9053.3.11 says it's be parking garages or closed occupancy buildings having lithium batteries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
The first part of that is open and closed. It's referring to open and closed parking garages. So Group S2 public parking garages, open or closed occupancy buildings having lithium buildings, so that the wording is supposed to refer to S2s, which is the parking garages.
So that would be a parking garage with occupancy above it?
No, the occupancy
then
group,
what-
there's residential occupancies. S2 is a classification for a parking garage underneath an apartment complex in a strip mall, underneath an office building.
All right.
I had a question about the requirement on sprinklers for that. Water doesn't really get put out lithium fires, right? I mean, we've seen that again and again and again. So why is there a requirement for sprinklers when it doesn't really work?
So the sprinkler requirements pretty much says in another section that the sprinkler design needs to be designed by a fire professional. NFPA 13, which is the standard for fire sprinklers, has not yet caught up with lithium batteries, and they don't have a standard of how to install a fire sprinkler system in a parking garage.
Yeah.
So there's another code section that says you shall have a fire protection engineer design a special system for that. The water does not put out the lithium ion batteries fires very rapidly, but what water does do is it controls the class A and class B fires, which is the plastics, the leather in the cars from catching fire and spreading to other cars.
Right.
So while the battery is still burning with water pouring on it, the point of the sprinkler system is to actually keep the fire from spreading to car to car to car to car.
Okay. All right.
All right, so just to be clear then, somebody puts in because we're encouraging people to put in solar energy as well as to put in battery backup systems. So even if they have the battery backup inside the garage or if they have a battery backup hanging on the outside, not an issue.
In
for a
this
resident.
specific ordinance, it does not
Okay,
require
I just want to make sure.
people
it's
installing
clear.
battery energy storage systems to install sprinklers.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else
No, I'm fine.
Thank you and very nice to meet you all.
like to meet you?
Good.
Stay for the party.
Yeah, stay for the party. Okay, do we have any public comment for this one?
And there's none online there.
Okay, let's move it to comments. Is there? I don't think we're allowed to change it, so,
I move that we approve the first
Have to-
reading.
Second.
First reading.
okay. First reading, motion made by Elizabeth, second by Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi. We're
Okay.
moving on.
All right.
Sorry,
and
Mayor.
then-
Mayor, can we do a roll call because it's a public hearing and an ordinance?
Councilmember Lane,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitmer,
I'm here.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeGolia,
Yes.
and Mayor Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to our regular agenda, we have members here from the senior task force. George, do you want to kick it off or should we just hand it straight to?
No, I'm happy to give a preliminary while they come up to the mic. So the senior task force hosted an event in, I believe it was September of this year, which was very successful. So they're here again before the city council to tell you a little bit about that event. There's a PowerPoint presentation that Anthony's pulling up and to talk about a potential event coming up in March with a partner with Woodside again, and then something in maybe September of 2026. That, turn it over to Joanne.
Well, she was with me on the planning commission for a while, so.
I had the pleasure of serving with him, Atherton Planning Commission for 4 years, and the absolute best time of year was this time of year. Christmas. All get the same necklace, Santa bag full of tricks and treats, kind of mixing Halloween theme in there as well. It's good to see you. And Madam Mayor, you're looking like you've been doing this for a while. You had a wonderful mentor.
Thank you.
Good on.
Well, thank you so much for making the time. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. I'd like to let you know that Joan Sanders is in the room and she is on the senior task force, and Ken Frederick is joining us virtually. So hopefully he's listening in and watching, and would like to give you an overview of what the senior task force has accomplished over the last couple of years and highlight specifically the event we had on September 27th, which we considered our formal kind of inaugural gala, so to speak, ask for money. I mean, you expected that, right? Not anything more than we asked for last time, and you were so generous to support the cost of the postcard that advertised the September 27th workshop. And then any questions you may have, and I'd like to make a proposal that we all come back together again some point early in the new year, perhaps in a study session, so that we can refine this concept and maybe identify some specific goals that fit both the town's planned goals and things that the senior task force is thinking about through 2026. Thank you, Anthony. There were a number of smaller kind of low-key events that we held in 2024 and earlier this year that offered the option of Zoom. And because of that, we received a lot more attention and interest, and actually even more participants, both virtually and in person, than we expected. And that, of course, put the wind under our wings all the more. It was our early indication that perhaps we were onto something. Those topics included memory health, building muscle strength, fall prevention, and we were so honored to have with us members of Atherton Police Department who talked about avoiding phone and internet scams. So very tailored, very specific, given our seniors' particular demographics. They were very well received, and attendance ranged from about 25 to 40 people in those various events. And I would say that the virtual participation option was really key. So I'm definitely going to be advocating for investment in that as you look at next year's, you've already approved next year's budget, maybe for the following year. The September 27th workshop focused specifically on senior housing. And it really was, now I know this sounds very self-serving, but man, it was a hit. It hit, and I'm not taking credit for it, nor are my compatriots Joan and Ken. It absolutely could not have come off as well as it did without the full force, George and Anthony and their teams, and ADAPT and the police department. So it truly was a village that came together, kind of echoing your comments earlier, Elizabeth, around how we all came together, connected, and really made something uniquely Atherton. So we're really, really excited to keep that momentum going. We had about 100 attendees at that event in Jennings Pavilion. 65 or so were Atherton residents. We also had Woodside and Portola Valley residents. And then the balance were staff, presenters, and the senior task force. I think that outreach to our neighboring towns added so much to the Atherton essence and brand. I don't mean to, make it sound commercial, but again, to Elizabeth's earlier point, I think we do have an image and a reputation for being welcoming and really oriented towards what it is our residents need and want to be happy in this town. And to be able to share that with our neighboring towns, I think was a little button in our lapel. And they truly appreciated the invitation and feeling as if they were welcomed neighbors at the event. Because Jennings Pavilion is not as technologically well equipped as this room is, we need to look for other venues that will allow a larger virtual audience, which is part of the reason that we're partnering with Woodside for this next event, which I'll tell you about in just a minute. Though the physical space at the Woodside Town Center will only allow about 80 attendees because their technology systems are quite robust. We think we can bring in a good number of virtual attendees. So the plan for the early spring workshop, we have a date selected, March 21st, and we received a lot of feedback after the September event that doing kind of a deep dive on memory related issues is a top concern. And so we'll be focusing on developing something very customer oriented and specific. We do a lot of walking around town and asking folks what they'd be interested in hearing, because one of our key goals is to really make this as relevant and customized to our unique audience as possible. We are getting early indications that because that is such a large topic, that either we might want to repeat it within a very short time after the first workshop, or have a second event that goes even deeper into this particular topic. But for the moment, I'm asking that the town support the funds for the postcard mailing, just like we did for the September event, which is a cost of $2,000. And we've offered to pick up the tab for the coffee and pastries, as Woodside did for the September event, which we anticipate to be $800. So with one event in early spring, it would be $2,800. If we do the follow-on event, we would ask for an additional $800 to feed that second crowd, and just the one postcard advertising the two dates. So the range is $2,800 to $3,600. And of course, if you are so generous in this holiday spirit to think that you could go to $3,600, we absolutely would only use that second $800 in the event we could demonstrate to you that there is demand, interest, we get the second date, and all systems are go. So let me just take a moment to kind of share learnings and key takeaways. We were building the plane as we were flying it, and I'm not sure if that phrase should be stated in the reverse. We were flying the plane as we were building it. It felt like both things at the same time. And again, I just want to go back to how much help and support we got from so many key stakeholder groups in Atherton. So building the plane has actually been a lot of fun. And again, could not have been done without that help. So in that is the learning that there is so much detail work required. And we know that it was a little bit of a burden on our staff, but they were incredibly gracious to help us out. We have 3 volunteers on the task force. We're constantly trying to recruit new members. And in the event that's not possible, we will need to look perhaps for some, professional assistance for meeting planning, event planning, et cetera. We're also needing to build a database. If this continues, We want to have a very accurate and robust information system to be able to communicate, and do targeted mailings or other types of outreach to the 1,750 seniors who reside in Atherton. And I think too, maybe doing a little branding, consistent with how all of the other committees in Atherton have, beautiful fonts and colors that are consistent with how Atherton presents itself. That to us would be a really big and visible step that we've kind of grown up and become a thing. And so that might be wishful thinking, and that might be, a year or two down the road. I do believe that there's more we need to prove to you in terms of doability, viability, and sharing with you feedback that we receive from participants, because that's really the best indicator of how successful a program like this is. So, thank you.
Hey, have any questions?
I need a little background. So is the intent of this group to be like eventually a 501c.org, or is it designed? So I'm kind of a halfway between city and not city thing, which is why I'm confused about the funding request a little bit.
Right. That's an excellent question, which is on the table for the task force. George has been wonderful in educating us around how we are and are not, in some respects, like a town committee. And so as we learn a little bit more and identify whether it is possible to engage outside resources, which then might require some fundraising, it would make a lot of sense, I think, to become a 501c3. But there are a lot of considerations that go along with that, like who runs it, but thank you for that question. And this whole concept originated about 3 years ago now, 2 years ago. The county, San Mateo County, sponsored an age-friendly town and city initiative. And Atherton was asked to consider participating, as was every other city in the county. And through a number of focus groups and other ways of soliciting input and feedback from residents, the task force presented to council a proposal that we not participate in that official program, but create for ourselves what I've described tonight.
Okay.
Thank you, Joanne. You're always so interesting to listen to, and you're passionate about it. And see Joan here, and also, and I don't know if Ken's watching or not, but he certainly is missed. The event that you had earlier was a rousing success, because I was there. I kind of said a few words, and participation with Woodside and Portola Valley seemed to add that extra little, I think, that your group needed. And I think my question is to you, what is Woodside doing for their residents in Portola Valley? Are they kind of struggling like you are? Are they trying to put together a group or a town authorized committee? Because we've made it really clear from the very beginning, this is not something is appropriate for the town to be sponsoring. You guys wanted to go forth and conquer and build the airplane. That it was really kind of your own to do it. But what about Woodside and Portola Valley?
Right. This is still very early stages of kind of moving the concept to an on the ground offering. Woodside has been incredibly helpful in terms of thought leadership, moral support, kind of rallying their crowd to get behind this concept. I cannot answer the question related to, are they doing anything formal with respect to establishing their own committee? I think the benefit of having shared thinking around this and a shared audience is that it kind of spreads the workload a little bit, particularly for those of us who are volunteers, you know. And it also fulfills one of the key goals that the task force had, which was to create an open, inclusive, warm, and inviting experience. And
So I guess Woodside doesn't have that, and are they going to their councils and asking for funding to help publish newsletters or postcards?
for their residents,
Uh-huh.
yes, I believe they did do that for the September event and are planning again to do that for this one. And you may know that Dick Brown is kind of a advisor to our task force, and he's really the spokesperson on behalf of Woodside. Yeah, for this.
It's a good guy.
He's a great guy.
Rick and Bill both have questions, so.
Yeah, I have a
Wanna go
question.
first?
Well, first, I just want to thank you and Joan and Ken. I think this is a really good organization to have created. We clearly have a significant number of seniors in the town. And as seniors, we all have real needs. And your first event directly addressed important needs. And I think the subject matter for these additional events is terrific. So thank you. And I have no problem supporting the cost to reach out to Atherton residents to inform them of this. And Atherton residents have clearly indicated to us that their preferred method of being reached to is through the mail, through a postcard or a letter. And so I'm supportive of that. The question I have is, your estimated cost of pastries and coffee is $800, which sounds high to me. And, you know, I don't look at what our costs are in specific or where Friends of the Library, who I participate with, where we do refreshments, but I don't think it's $800. So does that include, is that catered? Like is that employee cost?
You know, I cannot answer that for you. I cannot.
Well, where does the
recall
800 come from? That's the key question.
So that would be part of the request for funding.
No, I know, but how did you come up with 800 rather
Oh,
500?
I'm sorry. For based on attendance of 80 people, and you know, volunteers, speakers, and any staff of any of the 3 towns that might attend. So it could. I don't know if there's overflow available. We know that the
So your
capacity.
estimate is $10 a person?
Yes.
Questions?
Well, question/comment. I've spoken several times with Ken about this and, you know, on what press would be and why and all that. And I support the forward. I did suggest to him, and hopefully the will agree, that you do our budget starting in March. Good if y'all would, next couple of months, look at what you're planning on doing, then bring that to us to consider putting it in the budget. Now, the budget doesn't become a budget till July 1, but getting it in early will allow us to at least weigh that against other things that are going on. So I strongly suggest that you all do that, as opposed to, it's not great timed.
Exactly. No, absolutely. And that's unfortunately you know.
I understand where we are. We are
Right,
where we
right. No,
are.
I, that's a point well taken, which is also part of, the idea behind hopefully having a study session
Right.
so that we can,
That's a good-
address that question at that time.
Right.
I also wanted to mention that in a meeting recently with George and Elizabeth and Ken and myself to kind of debrief the outcomes of September event, the suggestion was made that this task force be more intentional about identifying what specific information and education outreach that the town is looking to do in 2026. And as we know, a lot of people in Atherton are interested in ADUs. And so we do want to connect the topics that we address in these workshops to that opportunity that we have for Atherton residents, particularly as it relates to the memory issue for folks who are wanting to age in place. We really want to bring in experts to talk about how do you redesign your home or how do you build an ADU that contemplates for a loved one perhaps having a progressive memory challenge.
Rick had another question.
Yeah, George. With respect to the funding approval, the funds are managed 100% by the town. So for example, with the refreshments, then the town looks at what the cost is, notwithstanding what we approve. The town manages that. So if the costs come in less than $800,
Why?
we're not out $800. Is that correct?
That's correct.
No, but I would suggest that maybe you think about the 501c, maybe multi-city or multi-city 501c together, and then if you got a topic that your format works for multi-city, so 501c would probably do that too.
Yeah, do
I just
some
have another
public
comment.
comments,
Yeah.
guys.
Right.
So,
Have a
yeah, she's
question?
mayoring. I don't have any questions. I thought that was a really good presentation. Is there any public comment before our comments? None? Okay. All right.
Anthony,
Ken, you'd like to make a comment? Ken's online.
can I make a comment?
Please.
First of all, John, thanks for doing all that. I'm going to clarify a couple things. Rick, you're right. That $800 number is a high number. It clearly came from me. What I did is I said, we're going to do they said we'd do 100. That's going to be a lot, but rather than 80, it was based on 100, a swag of $8 a piece for a coffee, and some kind of a croissant and maybe a yogurt or something. Whatever isn't, there'll be a bill supplied. Whatever isn't spent. It's not going to exceed that. And we don't need to spend a lot of money on that. That's what Woodside paid for our session in Holbrook Public Park. On Woodside itself, I don't know the details of it all. My understanding is what they're really doing is a member of their council, which is Dick Brown, is working this pretty much independently with the town planner. And there's no real committee. It's Dick and the town planner. And basically, almost all the sessions we've had have been kind of joint where they come to ours, and if they're going to have one, we'll go to theirs. I think that's going to grow, and it's going to grow in Portola Valley, which doesn't have much at all. They're awakening to the problem. And so there's going to be greater emphasis on both those places. We'll see where it develops.
Thank you, Ken. All right, well, I'll kick off the comments. Sounds like there's interest by everybody to have a joint study session. There's a lot of things that need discussing. I think what Bill said, it's a good idea that we should try and do annual planning because having long meetings about $800 expenses is excruciating for everyone involved. So I think Bill wanted to make a
I'd like to
motion.
make a motion that we provide them with the funding for this opportunity that's coming up, plus with the opportunity that there may be a follow-on session, an additional 800, 3,600 as a spot that would then be managed by the city, but
I'd like to make an amendment to that. I think the postcard funds are good. The 800 now, so it's 2,800 and not 3,600 is what I feel comfortable.
Fine.
Because there's no guarantee there would be a second one.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
So we're basically saying just have one event.
Yep. Well.
Well,
Or-
they can have more. They
or
can go
they
get
can come
$400,
money,
back
you
if
know,
they choose,
some of their
but
members
This is
could.
approving 2,800 now.
Okay, all right.
The seconder approved that too, right?
You both approved the amendment.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we need to do a roll call vote or we can just,
No, we
okay,
Roll call.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you
Cool,
kindly.
thank you.
So much.
Okay.
That again.